The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Oh my
Always.
God,
That's always
Brian. I'm sorry to stay on the subject, but unfortunately, the Vonerichs have the Von Erich family. Sadly enough, has parallels to the Graham family. Recently, of course, there's been a big buzz about the movie The Iron Claw. Did you get a chance to see it?
3 times.
Three times. What's your take at the end of the day on the movie?
I thought they were too hard on Fritz.
Okay.
And
Why too hard on Fritz?
They left Mike out of the story.
That's a ridiculous thing. I agree with that. But why so hard on Fritz? Was Fritz not like that?
I'm gonna tell you something. He was disciplined, but he was never abusive. I mean, I've seen him, almost all the time. He had a scotch or whatever, but he was never. He was the hottest I've ever seen him is when he found the marijuana field that David and I had grown.
That's great.
Oh, you guys are like Cheech and Chong, huh? Not good. Not good. Go to your room. Go to your room, Brian.
Jimmy,
We actually didn't smoke it. It just Al Madril told us if we grew it at the time,
you could sell it. You could sell it.
I'm not saying we didn't do that.
Al Madril from Olympic Auditorium.
Al Madril. I got to tell you the story. I've never told him.
Good. This is too good.
Al said that he's got this guy that can get rid of him.
Right. Brian,
I don't even know how the subject. I don't know how the subject.
I don't know how we got here, but at least you followed rule number 1. Never get high on your own supply.
There you go.
Unbelievable. Well, you saw the movie 3
times. Wait, Jimmy,
movie...
hold on. You're letting them off too fast. So Al tells you to sell it, right? Did you guys start selling it, or Fritz make you rip it up out of the ground and throw it out?
You're not dealing weed.
No. It was like a quick thing. I had a green thumb. And you asked, Brian Adias?
Yes, we've had Brian on the show. Great guy.
Yeah, great guy. Ask Brian. He will testify right now.
Kevin, his web's getting bigger.
They were like trees, brother. Like trees. I had never grown that before. I had never grown that, and Kevin left.
Oh my God!
Carrie's left a bright yellow water hose from Carrie's house. Kevin, yes, Kevin, who's in Texas.
Mike, he's my hero.
I love Kevin.
I got to ask this before you go on, Jimmy. The one question is, at some point, did Doris finally blame Fritz for all that went on with the family? Did she blame him like the movie kind of portrays at the end?
Yes. I mean, I wasn't there, but I could tell, that she was very upset. Fritz, Jack. But Doris was a wonderful lady, guys. I mean, the salt of the earth. Not only, every night she would have dinner prepared when we'd come home. It was on the stove in the house, just perfect. She would talk so eloquently about just such a wide variety of subjects. She was so knowledgeable. She was such a lady. It was like an amazing, amazing woman. She has to be, to raise these children, to go through the suffering that she's already gone through. Her first son, Jackie, got electrocuted in the pool, before Kevin. So she's been around the block. And I mean, her way of raising children was obviously different than Jack's way. Kids don't come with instructions. They don't. It's one of the most difficult things to do. Think about all us guys, what we did and snuck and did, and oh my gosh, our poor parents worried their butts off. Or if we were fortunate enough to have parents, and I don't mean to insult anybody that doesn't have them, because I know there's people out there. My parents were divorced when I was 13, and now I got them both here at my house.
Love it.
It's amazing. And not together, obviously, but anyway, yeah, well, Doris was great. So
Brian, coming from, growing up on the East Coast, we didn't always have television access. As cable grew over the years, yes, we would get Georgia, we'd get Florida, and eventually we got Texas. And there was always a splash of California wrestling on the Spanish UHF channels. If I'm not dating myself at this point, I don't know when that will happen. But David, growing up as an East Coast guy, I lived vicariously through the magazines, and I loved David. David was my favorite Von Erich. His passing, obviously tragic. Over the years, we've as fans, we've always heard he was going to be the guy, and I felt that he was going to be the guy, that he was world championship material, and was on a trajectory that didn't suggest anything less. Do you agree with that? Was David heading to the top of the mountain before he was taken?
100%. You're 100% correct, Jimmy. He was penciled in. I mean, he was supposed to be at the stadium show where Kerry wrestled. Blair.
So the belt was intended to go to David if David had lived.
I believe that it would have. Of course, I wouldn't know. The only people that would know 100% would be Fritz, and at that time would be Sam Muchnick, I guess. He's still just the NWA, the guys that run the heads of the territory. They say they're the ones that have the say, and they generally there was no. Was a dirt sheet then? But yeah, I think Dave Meltzer had the dirt sheet. And I used to I love Dave. I think he's a creative, wonderful. I think he's a creative genius, actually.
That makes one of us.
Yeah. I mean, he's made a ton of money, but look how much money the guy's made. That's the game, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. No doubt.
What's Dave worth? 100 million?
God only knows. Brian, did it bother you the way they glossed over the title change in the movie? Because to me, isn't that the pinnacle of the family? That's their goal. They wanted to. Fritz clearly, at least in the movie, he wanted one of his boys to get to where he was always being kept back from, the very top of the mountain. And Kerry gets there, and it's glossed over in the film. Do you have any issue with that? I did, but was it just a production thing because they couldn't afford to pull off a huge stadium kind of feel? What is it?
I honestly can't answer that.
Well, how'd you feel about it when you saw it?
I was so engrossed by the whole thing, honestly, Jimmy. I was, trying to pick up, every piece of my mind was just going back to so many memories.
Sure.
And each time I watched it, it would make me think of something else. When we're on the horses, we were on horses. Well, David, Kerry. Oh gosh darn, man.
Does the film get better for you each time you see it?
Yeah, I mean, well, I saw it. I went to the movies first time and saw it. Then I saw it on 2 plane rides, and I enjoyed all 3 times. I mean, when you know somebody, family, the entire family, like I was fortunate enough to get to know them over such a long period of time, almost a year and a half. You really get to be like family, and you understand the inner workings. They're all Fritz would always leave $100 bill in every vehicle in the glove box. He gave me $100 bill in every one of my checks every single week.
Wow.
He gave me an extra $100 bill. How many people he did that to? I don't know. But he did it to me every single week, and payoffs were fair, and they wouldn't take a dime rent. David wouldn't take a nickel rent. They treated me like a brother, and I'll be forever grateful for that. I had my Great Dane there.
That's great.
At David's house, Bo, for the whole time. It's fantastic.
Right. Let me ask you this: we've had plethora of guys from WCCW. In the Vonerichs, I'm a huge fan. When I saw the movie in the theater, I wasn't very happy with it. I thought it was too much wrestling. But now that it's on Max, like you, I watch it over and over again, trying to get new stuff. But I'm going to ask you, and I'm not that you know, or maybe you do. Did David really pass away from an abrasion, or was it a drug overdose?
I honestly couldn't tell you, because I know that he had medication in him, but he also had a bleeding, an infection. I I know that David would not intentionally kill himself. He had way too much going for him. He was a happy guy. He was a fun guy. I don't care. He learned to be such a good heel, guys. Oh, I only wish that the match that I had with him in Robards Arena in Sarasota was on tape. And whoever has the Florida collection, it could be. I've just never seen it, but it was one of my. I just enjoyed that match unbelievably. I mean, it stands out in my mind as one of the best matches that I've ever had. That's. I mean, I've had some tremendous
And
matches.
you've had
Jimmy
some.
Garvin and oh God, just so many people. The guy, such an underrated talent, ravishing Rick Rude. I mean, main eventing places just packed and just enjoying it, having the people just eat out of your hands. But David could make him. He was a great heel.